Hey everybody, it's week 6, the week of May 18th through the 22nd, and I have a confession to make. I almost forgot about the element of space, and space is a pretty important element. Space is defined as the area around, inside, or between shapes or forms, and space is important for several reasons. One main thing about space is that it really helps create a sense of depth. Space can also show you different and interesting perspectives. So, some ways that space creates depth in an artwork are through overlapping. So you might see that shapes or forms overlap each other, which means that some appear to be in front of other ones. You can also tell the space of a composition by the relative size of the shapes in that composition or that artwork. And what I mean by that is that shapes that are largest are placed in what we call the foreground, and those are things that are supposed to be closest to the viewer. Medium-sized shapes go in the middle ground, which is the space in the middle, and then the smallest objects or shapes go in the background, as you can see here in Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. When we talk about space, we should also talk about the difference between positive space and negative space. Positive space is the shape or form of the object or subject you are drawing. Negative space is the space behind, around, and between that object or that subject. Some artists that have worked with positive space and negative space would be artists like M.C. Escher or René Magritte. Learning to recognize both positive and negative space improves our observation skills, which makes us better artists. Sometimes it's easier to focus on the space around an object to draw the negative space than it is to draw the positive space, the object itself. Now that we know a little bit more about space, let's get started on our project for the week. Hey kindergarten through 2nd graders. This week we are going to be making a positive and a negative shape collage. What you're going to need for this project is 2 pieces of colored paper. One of those pieces of paper can be just plain white if you'd like, but it might be fun to use different colors if you have colored paper at home. If you do not have colored paper, you could always use recycled paper, like a piece of paper from a magazine that you're not using anymore. So try to get creative with it, but you need 2 different colored pieces of paper. You need a pencil, scissors, glue, and then you may want a ruler or a straight edge depending on the kind of shapes you decide to draw, but that's really up to you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take one of the pieces of paper and you're going to fold it in half just so that it is small. All right, so fold it in half and then cut it into a rectangle that is half the size. So we're going to be using 1 half-size piece of paper and then 1 full-sized piece of paper. On the half-size piece of paper, you are going to want to draw 4 shapes, 1 shape on each side of the paper. These shapes can be geometric shapes, they can be organic shapes, that is up to you. So as you can see, I've drawn my 4 shapes, 1 on each side. So now I'm going to cut these shapes out. Now, when you cut the shapes out, you want to save your shapes, but you also want to save your scrap. So you are going to keep the shapes, which are your positive space, and you are going to keep the negative space, which is the scrap around the shapes. And I'll, explain that in just a minute. Okay, so keep your shape, keep your scraps. So as you can see, I've cut out my shapes and I've glued the scrap paper to the center of my larger paper. And what this does is it creates the shapes out of negative space. but I still need to glue down my positive space shapes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my shapes and I want to make sure that they are going in the correct direction. Then I'm going to take the glue and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the shape like this, and then just flip it right over like that and glue it down. Now some of these shapes, as you can see, are pretty large, and when I flip them, they're going to go off the page. So make sure you're just putting the glue on the bottom of those shapes. I just put a little glue on the bottom, line it up like this, and then glue it right down like that. And do that with all of your shapes. Make sure that they fit. Is that one turned around? Yeah, there we go. Make sure they fit, then flip them and glue them. And there you have it, a positive and negative space shape collage. Well, I hope you liked this week's project, boys and girls. Make sure that you get that turned into me by Friday at 3 p.m., either by submitting it in Google Classroom or emailing it to me at mfrodriguez4@cps.edu. Now, I wanted to take a minute to go over how to submit photos using Google Classroom, because I know some of you are still confused about that. So it's actually pretty easy. What you'll do is you find the assignment that I created and you click Add or Create. Once you do that, you will see an option to upload a file. So you need to find your pic on Google Drive if your picture is on the drive, or if it is saved on your computer, you are going to click File and then find that picture file, that probably JPEG, on your computer. Once you have found it, select your picture, and then once the pic is uploaded, you click Turn In. And that is it. All right, so it's pretty simple. I can't wait to see your work this week, hopefully uploaded to Google Classroom. And until next week, take it easy. Bye.